This is a very exciting time in modern web development. Literally, we are shifting from an era of media queries to an era of container queries. This is a video that I've wanted to record for a while now. It wasn't the right time. I now think it is the right time. And actually, in this video, I am committing going forwards to a container query first workflow, a container query approach to responsive development. And I will say this, that if you stick to the media query approach, you are going to be living in an old era, an outdated era of responsive web design. I would even say this, when you start a new project, you should probably start that project with 0 traditional breakpoints, no breakpoints declared, and you should try to avoid them. Like media queries should be like a 10% kind of thing. Container queries should be like a 90% kind of thing, okay? I'm gonna show you why in this video. We're gonna go over it. This is not the only video that I have ever created on container queries. I'm gonna put up another one here somewhere or down there. I don't know how the YouTube thing works. I highly encourage you to go watch it. It's like a step-by-step explanation of how container queries work, how to make them, blah, blah, blah. In this video is going to be more of like a sales pitch for shifting the eras from the old era to the new era, why, and also to show you some new developments in the workflow to make container queries even easier. Let's go ahead and dive into it. So this page that you are looking at right here, I want you to pay attention to the card layouts, the grid structure, okay? We got like a featured area going on here. The cards have changed their layout. Card has changed layout again here. Down here, we see the cards in the layout. This is like a main content sidebar type situation, okay? And I will show you as this breaks down, and we'll analyze this even further, okay, in more detail slowly, but I'm just gonna go all the way down, okay? The question of, is this a responsive page? Yes, clearly it is a responsive page, okay? No issues on mobile, right? This page is accomplished with 0 media queries, 0 media queries, okay? Now, the cards themselves, see how on desktop, this is one card component, one card class, one single card class, even though you see the card behaving differently here. You used to have to do like a modifier class to do that. No modifier classes. See this one right here. That would be another modifier class, a different modifier class that you would have to create and maintain. No modifier classes. So no modifier classes, no media queries, but somehow we've got 3 different card variations. We have full responsiveness, and not just responsiveness to the device. This grid, right? Why did I do that? What is that? It should be two finger. I don't know what I'm doing. I might be having a stroke. I'm not sure. 2, okay. So this grid is a replica of this grid right here. I copied the grid, the entire grid. I just copied the entire 3-column grid and I pasted it right here. Now, obviously that's not 3 columns. So what is going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. The magic of container queries is what's going on. I'm gonna explain this to you. You're gonna be thoroughly convinced. And I also want you to know that in Etch, our visual development environment for WordPress that is, people are beating the doors down to get their hands on Etch for very good reason. Etch is going to be the first visual development environment, not just for WordPress, ever, that we know of, that uses and advocates for and empowers a container query first approach to modern web design and responsive web design. Why? Because it's an era 4 tool. It's a next era tool, and this is the next era of responsive development, okay? So let's take a look at how this works and really what the big difference is. I'm gonna switch over to this tab right here that is called MQ. This page was done with media queries, okay? And we're gonna see that we actually have some problems. We do not have any differences in card layout, because that is impossible with media queries. Impossible. So right off the bat, you see container queries are not just achieving what media queries achieve, they're doing more than what media queries allowed for. Well, that's a terrible featured post right there. That does not look good. We're back to a 3-column grid down there. And then we have our 3-column grid down here that is very squished. What media queries do, and I'm going to draw on my screen for this, okay? What media queries do is they respond to the device size. They measure, let me see if I can get an arrow here. They measure the device size, and you can make changes to things according to the device size. There are two big problems with this. Number one, the device size is not the most relevant factor to available space. As we can see here, we have a container that is crushing this grid, because that's a 3-column grid. When the 3-column grid is in a wide space, it's fine. It looks great. But when it's put into a sidebar, it doesn't look great. And the media query can't save this from breaking, because the media query is still looking at the device out here, and it is saying, hey, I mean, according to the device size, you should have plenty of room, right? But it doesn't have plenty of room because it's in an area of the layout that confines it. And a media query simply cannot fix that situation. That is a big problem with media queries, okay? Let me go ahead and let me clear this out, right? So a container query, on the other hand, doesn't care about the device. A container query only cares about the most relevant thing, which is literally available space, okay? So if we switch over to the container query workflow and we come down, remember, this is the same 3-column grid, but the container query, instead of measuring the device, the container query measures this sidebar, okay? Let me pull up our arrow. So it's literally measuring this, right? And it's saying, oh, okay, you don't have enough space to be 3 columns, so let's be 1 column. The device is irrelevant. But should the device happen to come in, because the device can, in fact, crush the available space, right? That's obvious. That's obvious, okay? That's how media queries do work when the device size changes. What you have to understand is that's not the only relevant thing that crushes available space. It could just be layout things that crush available space, right? So a container query is much more intelligent because it accurately responds to available space outside of or irrespective to the device. And this brings me to the second big problem with media queries. What are your breakpoints? So, and I'm going to go to Etch to show you, because what we started doing was we started taking an approach that is similar to the approach that every other tool has taken. And we have these things called breakpoints, which you can define at the start of a project. And you can make things responsive according to these breakpoints using media queries. This was the entire workflow for the last 20 years, right? 20 plus years, however long it's been. I can't even keep track anymore. But as you can see, this is dumb. It's dumb for 2 reasons. One reason is this isn't the only thing that controls available space. We already went over that. But 2, where do these numbers come from? Who came up with these numbers? Everybody copies these numbers from frameworks like Bootstrap and Tailwind, and Automatic CSS uses them, okay? That's old school. This was good when there were like 8 different devices. Like, okay, there's an Android phone and an iPhone. There's an iPad, maybe an iPad Pro, and then there's this other device, and like on mobile, it can be sideways or it can be tall. And that's what we're going to base all of our metrics on, right? That worked well in like 2009, 2012. 2025, do you know if you took all the devices that people use that are floating out in the wild? Remember now, we got watches, we got all different size phones, we got XL phones and normal phones and mini phones and SE phones, and then we've got tablets of all different sizes, laptops of all different sizes. Do you know how many relevant breakpoints there are if you measured them across all the different device sizes and resolutions? Over 2,200. 2,200. And in the old era that some of you, I know you're still trying to cling to it, okay? There's going to be people who try to cling to the old era. This is their sales pitch. yeah, there's 2,200 device sizes, but all you have to do is just pick 4 random ones or 5 random ones. You're going to be just fine. No, you're not. You're not going to be just fine. You're not going to be just fine. It is so inaccurate. It's not even funny. It's absolutely laughable. Not only are those breakpoints inaccurate, but as we see, when the available space changes, but the device hasn't changed, media queries can't do anything about it. Container queries not only solve all of this breakpoint situation, because in a container query world, I don't care what the device is. I literally only care about how much available space I have. And I'm going to make changes based on available space. That's it. That takes all the devices out of the picture. And when available space changes, but the device hasn't changed, container queries still work. There is literally no reason to not move into the container query era, other than you don't understand, or you're stubborn, or you're bad at your job. There's 3 reasons right there, okay? Now, there are a couple gotchas. What we're going to do to cover the gotchas is we're going to take this media query page and we're going to convert it into a container query page. And you're going to see, 1, how easy this is, and 2, how to get around the gotchas. And by the way, I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, okay? But I'm going to show you a technique that I have not seen anywhere else, because I've been thinking about this deeply. I've tried to fix this gotcha a couple different ways. And actually, I had to wait. I had to wait for CSS to continue to evolve more. I needed the has selector. I needed nesting. Those are the 2 things that really had to get here in order for me to come to this final solution for this gotcha, right? It's very awkward using final solution. I did okay. Well, let's just keep moving on. All right. So here's the thing. I have come up with what I call the has me selector. Let me type this on the screen for you. Okay. It's called the has me selector. This is the golden chalice. This is the crystal ball. This is the thing that unlocks. This is the linchpin to overcoming quite possibly the biggest limitation of container queries. And you can hear the excitement in my voice because, guys, we are living in an era shift right now in more ways than one. And if you're not excited about this stuff, like, you're probably in the wrong business. You should be passionate about this. You should be excited about this stuff. The has me selector is going to unlock so much ease for you, and flexibility and maintainability and scalability and all the things that we care about. And here is why. Let's go ahead and edit with Etch. Take a look at this, okay? And we are doing this is the media query page that we are going to fix, okay? So I'm going to come into this card right here, and I'm going to look and I'm going to see, okay, there are nested instructions that are telling this card to behave differently according to different spacings, right? The problem is they're using media queries, which only respond to when the device changes the available space, but not when layout changes the available space. Here's the great thing about container queries versus media queries. They're exactly the same syntax. It's literally taking the word at media, and I'm going to duplicate all of these, okay? We have multi-cursor editing in Etch, and I'm going to write at container instead of writing at media. So all those media queries are now changed to container queries. I'm going to save. We're going to go look at this on the front end, and we're going to see essentially that nothing has changed. I did that on the card class. All of these are using the same card class. None of these cards have fixed themselves. And this is the first gotcha of container queries where people are like, well, Kevin, I used container query. I did the right syntax. Why isn't my card changing? And it's a very, very simple reason, but it is an annoying reason, okay? I'm going to draw a rectangle around here. This is the container that we want the container query to measure. You need to measure the dimensions. Specifically, you need to measure the width of this box. And we're going to make changes based on the width of the box. Well, I think due to performance implications, right? The browsers, when they designed the spec, they were like, let's not make the browsers keep track of the dimensions of every box on the page at all times. That's probably very performance intensive. So what you essentially have to do is opt in You have to like opt in to measuring the box by declaring it as a container. Okay, so let me get rid of these arrows. You have to come in and on that box say, why can't I type? Container type, inline size, which is essentially width, like measure the width. Okay, container type, we're measuring the width. And once you declare that, then container queries will work, okay? So I will demonstrate that for you right now. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna go to this container postcard list, and I'm gonna say container type inline size. And now it is going to respond, okay? So look, now that is actually not what we wanted, okay? Because there's other things going on here, right? It is container type inline size, and then we have a list item right here, and then we have an article postcard. That is the wrong thing to put the container type of inline size on, because let me show you what's happening. And this is what confuses everybody. They're like, oh my God, it's not behaving the way I want it to behave. And don't worry, this gotcha is not a gotcha anymore. Your boy solved this gotcha. And it's a magical solution. It's a magical solution, but just stick with me, okay? We're not measuring the cells of the grid. We're measuring the wrapper of the grid. It thinks these cards have more space than they actually have. That's a big problem because they're broken. When that happens, they're broken. We only need the direct parent to be measured, right? We don't want the grid to be measured. So I got to take this off and I got to come down here to this list item, but this list item doesn't even have a selector. So what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to say, okay, we're going to select any LIs that are in here. And that's where we're going to put the container type of inline size. And now they're fixed, but they're not fixed anywhere else. Why? Because we got to go to every individual scenario where we're using the cards and declare a container type of inline size, because the parent isn't going to be measured unless we opt in by declaring a container. This has always been the gotcha of container queries. And I was like, oh, why did they do this? Like, I understand why they did it. I understand, okay, like we don't have unlimited resources in the world, and browsers, like eventually maybe browsers can just do it all computation on the fly of every single possible box on the I get it, but it's still annoying. It's really annoying. Thankfully, ya boy fixed it for you, okay? Check this out. It's absolute magic, okay? So instead of going around like a chump, because nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to go, oh my God, I put the card over here, I got declared as a container. Nobody wants to do that. We want unbreakable scenarios. We want completely maintainable scenarios. We want to come back 6 months later and understand and not have to dissect how this is all working. We just want it to work. Is that too much to ask? You gave me container query. Can it just work? Why does it need all this babysitting? I don't want to babysit it. I just want it to work, okay? I feel you. If you feel that way, I feel it. We are on the same page. We're on the same page. That's why your boy fixed it. Okay, check this out. All right, so I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited about this. This one little snippet. Okay, this is the has me selector. What I'm calling the has me selector. It's inside a postcard. Postcard is my thing that needs to contort and conform based on available space, right? This is component level CSS. I'm inside the postcard. I have nesting available to me. I have something called a has selector, which we know of as a parent selector, right? So I can select the parent of what? I need to select the parent of postcard, the direct parent of postcard. So I'm going to use a forward caret. That is the direct child selector. So right now, we're going to be taking anything. By the way, if you put has and you don't put anything here like div or section or whatever, it's like you put the star, which is an anything. It's a universal selector, right? Has me. Has me. A lot of people don't know. This is the me, what I call the me selector in nesting and SAS, where it references the current selector. And a lot of people don't even know that you can put this anywhere, right? At the end, at the beginning. Most people use it at the beginning. You'll see this is very common. This essentially attaches a before pseudo element to your postcard. And you'll see people almost always use it at the beginning, but that doesn't have to be the case. You can use it somewhere else, right? This is the has me selector, which essentially is like writing this. If something has postcard, okay, has me, I'm the postcard, okay? Hey, I'm postcard, okay? If it has me and I'm a direct child, guess what we can do? Container type, inline size. And now anywhere I drag this card and plop it down, it's gonna go, hey, you have me? Okay, you should be container type, inline size. Anything, anywhere, at all times, at any time. Now, 6 months later, doesn't matter. Complete flexibility, the gotcha eliminated. Completely eliminates the gotcha, okay? And now, just by adding that, let's go refresh, okay? All of these, look at this. These are fine. These two posts fixed themselves. This post became a featured post, like a ultra wide post, right? This grid's working out. The only problem here is these are still squished. Why? Well, because the cards can't change. There's no other layout that they can go to. The grid is what needs to change, okay? So we can fix the grid. Let's come down here, and we see that we have this thing called a postcard list. By the way, that's the same grid that we have up here. Postcard list. I just clicked on it. It's the same exact element, okay? I'm going to go down here, click this. It's selected. Postcard list, right? Media query. No wonder it's broken. It's using a dumb, old school, inefficient, past era technique for responsiveness. We should come up here. We should do the has me selector, has me. We should go container type of inline size. And then we should come down here and say container, and it's fixed. Refresh. Look, this is the same grid that I'm using right here, but it's looking at its available space and it's making a business decision. It's saying, hey, I don't have enough space for that. We're going to be broken if we do that. We're going to go to one column because that's what the container query says to do. When the available space is greater than 1,000, be 3 columns, which by default means if it's less than 1,000, be the default of display grid, which is 1 column. This is like mobile first responsiveness, right? I'm combining all these different techniques together and we're creating unbreakable, insanely flexible layout scenarios, right? In here, where I have this featured post grid, which is all this craziness going on, right? Media queries, these are easily fixed. It's essentially a default that you're going to want to use has me, okay? This is what adds the infinite flexibility, right? Container type of inline size, and then we're going to come down here and say, hey, instead of media, we're going to be looking at container. We refresh, looks great. Look, right here, looks great, okay? Looks like it's supposed to. Now watch this. If I took this, let's go ahead and grab featured posts, okay? So let's go duplicate featured posts. And maybe instead of this postcard list, I want to put this featured post duplicate down in here. Okay, so I'm going to come down and I'm going to drop that in and we're going to go down here. Look at this. Look at this. Now, the reason this card is being stacked is because it's being explicitly told to stack. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and show you. So we go to this grid right here and we look, it's selecting the first child and then it's selecting the article inside of the first child. And it's saying, hey, grid template column should be 1 column. And that is just because this is a featured post grid and that is the decision that was made. You could additionally alter this decision based on the available space. It just was a decision that was not made yet, if that's what we want to do. You can see how these things behave in different available spaces and then continue to make adjustments. I'm going to do some follow-up videos on exactly how to build this from scratch. Okay, because we do need an updated video on that. I'm going to show you step by step. Okay, here's the first variation of the card. Now we're going to build in this other variation depending on this space. And then if we have even more space, we're going to do this other variation. And I'll show you exactly how it comes to fruition from scratch. So you need to watch out for that video, subscribe to the channel, keep an eye out. By the way, drop a comment, drop a like. We're shifting eras here. I wanted to show you this and sell you on it because this is what needs to happen with your development workflow. But in order for everybody to start catching on, you need to help them like understand this. You need to get this content into their hands. Hit like, help the algo, drop a comment, help the algo, and then hit share. And share this so other people can see it and digest it and learn it and then start to implement it. And the web is going to collectively be a better place. And by the way, I can guarantee with container queries, you're going to have much, much more fun. And it's going to make this more efficient for you, like your development workflow, more efficient, more exciting, more liberating, more flexible, more maintainable, more everything, okay? Guys, this was done with one card class, 2 grid classes, no media queries, no shenanigans, no modifier classes, no nothing, okay? It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Drop a like, drop a comment. I want to know what you think. Cheers.